Welcome to the Postpartum Coach podcast, where we embrace our needs as moms, we learn to lead ourselves first, then our families, and where we create our own healing from the inside out to find our way to the work we were meant to do in this world. I'm your host, a fellow mom of 3 and a certified life coach, Lizzie Langston. Hello, everybody. Lizzie here. Oh my gosh, it's almost Christmas. Just a couple more days. Crazy. Just a quick reminder that I am doing a giveaway of 2 beautiful watercolor calendars by Paige Payne Creations. Paige Payne is a fellow woman and artist on Instagram, and I just adore her work. And I bought a bunch of her calendars. Spoiler alert, I might be giving some of them away for Christmas presents. But my favorite part about them, besides the fact that each month has a gorgeous watercolor portrait of a door with various decor that matches the season, is that you can cut those out once the month is done and put them in a frame. And now you have a beautiful watercolor portrait in your home. So if you want to have one of these, I'm actually giving away 2 calendars, and all you need to do as a listener of this podcast is just go leave me an iTunes review. So just a review of my podcast on iTunes with some written, just words, authentic thoughts about the podcast and what you've gotten out of it, how much you love it, what you would say to somebody considering taking the time to listen to it. And once you've done that review, just send me, Lizzie, your review. So just take a quick little screenshot and email it to me, lizlangstoncoaching@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Lizzie Langston, LIZZIE LANGSTON, and you can send it to me there in a DM on Instagram. Either way, once I see your review, I will happily just go ahead and put you in the giveaway. And I'm drawing tomorrow. So I'm going to draw for this giveaway tomorrow, Wednesday, December 23rd. You guys, there's like 2 people in the giveaway so far, and there's 2 calendars I'm giving away, which is awesome for them. But if you guys want to get in on this, definitely just leave me a review. I would be so grateful. I think I've already said this, but just so you know, the more reviews you have, the more iTunes will pull up my podcast's name when women are searching for help postpartum. And I frankly believe that out of all of the postpartum podcasts, which many of them are like women sharing their stories, and that's very validating and it can be somewhat comforting. But as far as like women actually being able to pull themselves out of the muck and the alarm and alert that is postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression and the trauma that creeps up after a difficult, unanticipated birth story, this is the podcast. This is the place. And I say that with total confidence. And so please help me as the Christmas gift to all the postpartum moms, do the help of getting this podcast more to the forefront of the eyes of women who are hurting. Thank you so much for that. As a thank you for doing that, so I would love it if you did that. I wanted to just do a little bit of a bonus episode. It's going to be very brief today, maybe like the next 5 minutes I'll be chatting with you. But I wanted to go over boundaries, and I've taught boundaries on this podcast. So there's episode 77 is how to properly set a boundary postpartum. And so on this little bonus episode though, I'm going to call it like the 5th boundary. I never even made boundaries 1 through 4, but I think that just sounds like a good name for it. Like the 5th boundary, the one we don't think about. And I was just talking about this with a client of mine. I want to tell you guys, many of my clients right now are getting ready to go see family for the holiday. And that's probably a lot of you as well. And gratefully, I just published last week that episode, Gearing Up. It was a bonus episode 86, Gearing Up to See Extended Family for the Holidays. So if you haven't checked that out, that one's really useful in this department as well. But regardless, even if you're staying at home, the biggest threat to us being present and really just enjoying our holiday is when we are in other people's brains. And what I mean by that is when we are like thinking about what they're thinking about, not from the place of curiosity or caring, like, how can I help how can I show love to this person in a way that they would appreciate and receive? It's more of a desperate, like, I don't want her to think X, Y, or Z, or I don't want this person to feel X, Y, or Z. I don't want her to think that I'm, stuck up, or I don't want them to feel left out. And when we make decisions and we show up in a group of people or on a holiday in this way, it's first of all exhausting. And those of you who have done this, which I think is probably all of us to some degree, those of us that have done this, we know that this can be really exhausting. It can build resentment, and it can really get us not present. Because what happens is when we cross the boundary, I'm going to offer to you that it's a boundary. Okay. Like, other people's brains are genuinely none of your business. It would be like digging in somebody else's purse without asking them. Would you really do that? Even if it was your sister, you'd be like, hey, can I check your purse for gum? If you needed gum, you would ask her. You never know what people have in their purse, or especially around Christmas time, you never know what they're hiding in there, or maybe there's genuinely nothing, but regardless, it's not your property. And so it really is crossing a boundary to get into somebody else's brain and to consider what their thoughts are. Now, the one exception to this that I have found actually useful and purposeful is when somebody does something or says something and I really don't understand it. Sometimes I think it's fascinating to just get curious about their model. What is their thought or their emotion that has driven them to take that action or say that thing or make that decision? And that really helps me from getting upset about somebody's action. I get curious instead. So I'm not talking about that. That can be really illuminating, really like helpful to create a connection or to just calm yourself down when you don't understand somebody's actions. I'm talking about it's more of a protective mechanism. How can I guess every move they're going to make? And then how can I be the person that won't have them explode or won't make them feel this or won't make them think that? So the reason this is a problem is because we think other people's thoughts are created by our actions and we think that we can influence. This is why it's crossing a boundary. It really is a hard stop, you guys. Like, other people's thoughts and brains are none of their business. Now, you might think, well, if I'm not worried about their thoughts and feelings, then how do I be nice in the relationship? How do I show up the way I want to? And the question you have to ask yourself is, who are you really being if you're always doing the things based off of what you think other people will think or feel? It sounds nice and it sounds very Christian or giving, right? To be doing things out of what other people will think or feel. But what it does is it takes you off center. It takes you out of being authentic and present and creative and just yourself. It takes away from your presence. It takes away from your being at ease and just like go with the flow sense of humor. And that's really what we want for Christmas. So if you are feeling like your anxiety is spiking, if you're just feeling exhausted, if you feel like your body is in a state of fight or flight constantly in the holidays, you might be crossing this boundary. So check yourself and bring it back. I want to offer you a couple thoughts and then I'll wrap it up. One of them I've already said, but other people's thoughts are none of your business. None of our business. We have no place being in other people's thoughts. You are crossing a boundary. And again, another consequence of this is when you cross the boundary into other people's brain, it is very hard to set and keep your own boundaries. It is very hard to do what's important to you and to stick with the commitments and the way of being yourself that you really want to around the holidays. So don't break that fifth boundary. Don't break the boundary of going into people's brains and their thoughts and feelings this holiday. Bring it back to that's none of my business. My own thoughts are my own business. When we are in other people's brains, we are neglecting our thoughts, which means that it's so much easier for us to get offended or to have misunderstandings or to miss beautiful details of the present moment happening in front of us. Okay, I hope you guys, now that we've listened to this lovely bonus, please go leave me a written review, DM it to me or email it to me, Liz Langston Coaching, Instagram, I'm at Lizzie Langston, and I would be so happy to put you in the drawing for tomorrow, Wednesday, December 23rd. I'm going to be giving away 2 of Paige Payne's calendars. The watercolors are so beautiful in there. I can't wait for you to see them, and you can have them up in your home throughout 2021. I'll get them to you before the new year. That's my goal. So Go ahead and leave me a review. And I'm so grateful for all of you. I'll be back on Christmas Eve with another podcast episode. I can't wait. That one's so good. I already recorded it. We'll see you then. Hey, Lizzie here. I've helped dozens of postpartum moms just like you to manage their postpartum anxiety and deconstruct their postpartum depression. It's really easy for me. So if you're ready to feel better, I know the way. Let's chat on the phone. Set up a time by going to LizzieLangston.com/consult. It's pretty simple, and I will be calling you soon.